Hey, did you know that 2 simple vitamins could potentially outshine even the most common diabetes medications in managing your health? I'm talking about a game changer for anyone battling diabetes or pre-diabetes, where the stakes are sky high. Heart issues, brittle bones, and blood sugar chaos. Let's dive into the world of vitamins D3 and K2, a duo that's been hiding in plain sight, ready to transform lives. Now let's get real. Why should you care about these vitamins when there are pills and prescriptions galore? Here's the kicker. Missing out on D3 and K2 isn't just a minor oversight. It's like leaving your front door wide open to a storm. I've seen folks in my circle, good people mind you, struggle with fractures that snap like twigs because their bones lack the strength D3 could have provided. Research backs this up. People with diabetes face a 2 to 3 times higher risk of fractures. And heart trouble, that's the silent thief creeping in when calcium clogs arteries instead of fortifying bones. A disaster K2 could prevent. So, let's unpack this. How do these vitamins work? And why are they a must for you? Stick with me, because there's a twist in how they team up that might just blow your mind. Let's lay it all out, starting with the basics of these unsung heroes. Vitamin D3, often called the sunshine vitamin, is something your body whips up when you're out soaking in rays. But you can also grab it from foods like salmon, tuna, and egg yolks. Its job? It's the gatekeeper for calcium absorption, making sure your bones don't turn to dust. Without it, you're looking at weak skeletons and a compromised immune system. Bad news for anyone, but a crisis for diabetics already dodging health bullets. Studies show D3 also plays a role in glucose regulation, helping keep those blood sugar spikes in check. And it supports heart health by reducing inflammation. Now, not all D vitamins are created equal. D2, the cheaper cousin, doesn't cut it. It's less effective, poorly absorbed, especially for those with insulin resistance. D3 is the real deal, the final form your body craves after sun exposure, working harder and smarter. Then there's vitamin K2, the lesser-known partner, found in eggs, dairy, and fermented goodies like natto. Its superpower? Directing calcium where it belongs, your bones and teeth, not your arteries. Picture this. Without K2, calcium is like a lost tourist, wandering into your blood vessels and hardening them, setting the stage for heart attacks or blockages. K1, another variant, is great for blood clotting, but it's K2 that's the champ for bone and cardiovascular protection. I remember a buddy's uncle in his late 50s dealing with diabetes for years. He thought he was fine until a routine scan showed early arterial calcification, calcium in all the wrong places. Turns out, his diet lacked K2-rich foods, and no one had clued him in. That's the kind of wake-up call we can't ignore. Alone, D3 and K2 are powerful, but together, they're a fortress. D3 pulls calcium in, and K2 makes sure it doesn't turn your arteries into concrete. Add to that their combined effect on steadying glucose levels, not overnight, but over months of consistency. And you've got a duo that could rival standard treatments. Data suggests that adequate D3 levels can lower HbA1c markers in diabetics by up to 0.5%. A small but significant nudge when every decimal counts. And for heart risks, K2's ability to reduce arterial stiffness is backed by studies showing a 50% lower risk of coronary events in those with higher intake. Now, this isn't just theory. It's lived reality. I've watched patients transform with this knowledge, like a woman in her 60s who, after years of bone pain and sugar swings, started prioritizing these vitamins. 6 months later, her bone density scans improved and her energy was through the roof. She wasn't just surviving, she was living again. So how do you make sure you're not missing out? And what's the catch with getting these nutrients right? Here's where it gets even juicier. There's a hidden snag most folks don't see coming. You might think popping a pill or eating some salmon is enough. But are you actually absorbing these vitamins? Or are they just passing through? Timing and form matter more than you'd guess. Take them with a meal, ideally one with healthy fats. Think avocado on toast at breakfast, or a drizzle of olive oil on your dinner salad. Why? Because D3 and K2 are fat-soluble, meaning they hitch a ride with dietary fat to get into your system. Skip the fat, and you're flushing potential benefits down the drain. I've had countless chats with people who took their vitamins on an empty stomach, then wondered why nothing changed. One guy, always on the go, used to down his supplements with black coffee at 6 a.m. No food, no fat. Months later, his D3 levels barely budged. We tweaked his routine to pair them with his evening meal, and boom, his next blood test showed a 30% jump in D3. That's the kind of detail that turns trying into winning. And here's another curveball. Are you even taking the right amount or form? For those not severely deficient, around 1,000 units of D3 and 200 micrograms of K2 daily can make a dent. But liquid formulas often beat pills. Why? They're gentler on the gut and absorb faster, especially if swallowing tablets feels like a chore or messes with your stomach. It's these little tweaks, fat, timing, form, that can flip the script on your health. So are you ready for the full picture on how to lock in these benefits and dodge the pitfalls? Let's hit the peak of this journey, because this is where it all comes together with undeniable proof and practical know-how. The synergy of D3 and K2 isn't just nice to have, it's a lifeline for managing diabetes risks that creep up without warning. Let's break it down with hard evidence and real stories. First, bone health. Diabetes doubles or triples your fracture risk, as I've mentioned, because high blood sugar messes with bone remodeling. D3 steps in by boosting calcium uptake, with studies showing a 20 to 30% reduction in fracture risk among those with optimal levels, around 30 to 50 nanograms per milliliter in blood tests. I recall a patient, a retired teacher, who'd fallen twice in a year, each time breaking something. Her D3 levels were in the single digits, dangerously low. After 3 months on a tailored dose with K2 to guide the calcium, her next fall didn't even bruise her. Her bones weren't just holding, they were fighting back. Then there's heart health, where the stats are chilling. Diabetics face a 2 to 4 times higher risk of cardiovascular death. K2's role in preventing arterial calcification is a game saver here. A Dutch study tracking over 4,000 adults found that higher K2 intake slashed coronary artery calcification by over 50%. Think about that. Half the risk, just from getting enough of a vitamin most folks overlook. I've seen this play out with someone close to my circle. A man pushing 70, diabetic for decades. His arteries were starting to harden, a ticking clock for a heart event. Introducing K2-rich foods like fermented soy and pairing it with D3 turned his scans around in under a year. Less buildup, better flow. And glucose control? It's the holy grail for diabetics, right? D3 supports insulin sensitivity, with research from the Journal of Diabetes showing a measurable drop in fasting glucose levels, up to 10 milligrams per deciliter, after consistent supplementation over 6 months. Pair that with K2's indirect benefits on systemic inflammation, and you're not just managing sugar, you're stabilizing your whole system. But here's the rub. It's not a quick fix. I've had to coach folks through the waiting game, like a young woman who expected miracles in a week. It took months, but her glucose readings steadied, and her exhaustion lifted. She cried, telling me she could play with her kids again without crashing. That's the power of persistence with this combo. Now, don't just rely on pills. Food matters. Load up on salmon for D3, natto or aged cheese for K2, because supplements are just that, supplementary. I've seen the difference in lab results between those who only pop vitamins versus those who pair them with diet. Night and day. One patient, skeptical at first, started cooking fatty fish twice a week and snacking on yogurt for K2. His numbers didn't just improve, they soared past expectations. And the final tip, get tested. Blood levels for D3 should hover between 30 to 50 nanograms per milliliter. And while K2 isn't as easy to measure, consistent intake shows in bone and heart markers. I can't count how many times I've urged someone to check their levels, only for them to find they were way off base, thinking they were fine. Knowledge is power. Don't guess, test. This isn't just about dodging risks. It's about reclaiming control, one vitamin at a time. So how do you start? And what's a fun way to make this stick? All right, let's lighten the mood with a little trick that's as practical as it is quirky, making these vitamins a seamless, even enjoyable part of your day. Picture this. You're at breakfast, maybe frying up some eggs in a pat of butter. That golden yolk staring back at you, packed with D3 and a hint of K2. Or maybe it's dinner, and you've got a salmon fillet, sizzling with a side of creamy, fermented goodness like sauerkraut. That's your moment. Pop those supplements right then, when the healthy fats are on your plate, ready to usher those vitamins straight into your bloodstream. It's like giving them a VIP pass to do their magic. I've had folks laugh when I tell them to treat their vitamins like a side dish. Pair them with fat, not just water or a dry crack. One guy I know turned it into a ritual. Every Sunday night, he'd grill a fatty piece of fish, drizzle it with olive oil, and take his D3 and K2 while joking it was his health toast to the week ahead. 6 weeks in, he felt sharper, less achy, and his doc noticed his markers trending up. It's not just about science. It's about making it yours. A small win that sticks. And here's a surprise for those who hate pills. Liquid forms are your friend. They slide down easy, no gagging, no gut gripes, and they hit your system faster. I've seen the relief on faces when I mention this. Like a lady who'd battled stomach issues for years. She switched to liquid D3 and K2, mixed it into her morning smoothie, and suddenly, taking care of herself wasn't a chore. It was a breeze. She even started experimenting, blending in spinach or berries, calling it her power potion. It's funny, but it worked. Her absorption improved, confirmed by her next checkup, and she was beaming. These little hacks are just tips. They're lifelines for consistency. I've watched too many start strong, then fizzle out, because it felt like a drag. So make it fun, make it tasty. Imagine your vitamins as part of a meal you love, not a task you dread. Whether it's a hearty breakfast or a cozy dinner, tie it to something you already enjoy. I've seen a couple turn it into date night prep, cooking together with K2 rich cheese on the menu, taking their doses side by side, laughing about getting healthy as foreplay. It's these moments, these tiny tweaks, that build habits without feeling like a grind. You've got the why and the how. Now it's about owning it, day by day, bite by bite. So let's wrap this up tight. Vitamins D3 and K2 aren't just nutrients. They're your allies against the chaos of diabetes, fortifying bones, guarding your heart, and steadying your glucose, one step at a time. It's not magic, but with the right timing, form, and food, it's as close as you'll get to a natural edge. Start small, test your levels, pair them with fats, and watch the long game pay off. If you found this deep dive helpful and want to hear more real talk on health, remember to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Your support keeps me sharing these insights. And hey, I'd love to know, what's your go-to meal or trick for getting these vitamins in? Drop it in the comments. Let's learn from each other.